And you're just in time for Richard Mwenje exclusive. We want to advance the conversations therein that are defining today's landscape in the world of politics and governance here in Kenya, and what that portends for the future of this beautiful country. Are we really gaining the much needed traction, or we are reversing the gains that we've made over the last many decades after we gained our independence? I'm Richard Mwenje. Welcome to the conversation. And the gentleman to help me bring this conversation home is none other than the celebrated think tank and former minister, Chirangani's biggest export, Ruto, Arab Kirwa. Today in your trademark hat, how do we call such hats?
This one? Well, we call it Odinga.
Oh, Odinga.
Odinga, yeah.
A Guambo hat.
The father used to don this one.
Oh, Jaramogi?
At some stage. Yeah. So now the son took over. And because I'm associated with him, although he's going to AU, I still want to don this one.
You're not coming back to countersuits?
Countersuit, I think, later on when the devil is out of town.
You don't want to be associated with the devil that wears counter?
No. He'll be out of town soon. Then I'll go back to my wardrobe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very well. It is said when it rains, it pours, and seemingly that's the situation that is playing around here in Kenya. Police coming out looking trigger happy, pumping bullets to the head of young Kenyans in the streets who are demanding for better taxation regime, one that is not punitive, predatory, or draconian. And this call for a police force to devise new tactics to engage peaceful demonstrators, because if you look at what we're seeing on our screens and in our news, mainstream media, this is a young generation armed with nothing but bottles of water and their smartphones, calling out the government in a very peaceful way. From where you sit, do you feel that it has been very low, the conduct of the Kenyan police force with regards to the ongoing demonstrations?
Well, absolutely, you are right. Given the fact that under the current constitution, most of the things that these young people have been doing are allowable. More so given the fact that they have not been armed, perhaps a bottle of water, iPhone, and perhaps a handkerchief.
Or a flag of Kenya.
Or a Kenya's flag to demonstrate that they are doing it for the sake of this country. So I think the government should have been better informed that deal with such fragile crowd in a way that you don't tell them that now you have no time for them. Because in terms of numbers, there are many. In terms of ideas, they are well informed. In terms of education, on average, they are more educated than us. And in terms of patriotism, they have everything to lose if this country went to the bananas. But we, the older generation, must also respect that space, that this is a young generation, and they have their own leaders, their own ideas, and their own perspectives and perceptions about the Kenya of today and tomorrow.
On 24th June, we saw Interior CS Kindiki coming forward, firing warning shots, telling the Gen Zs, don't dare us. And seemingly to respond to that, they dared him, they poured to the streets, and equally, we've seen Kindiki sort of unleash the anger and the rage he promised them should anyone come forth looking unpeaceful or stretch the scope of the demonstrations. Would you say that it was not taken in good conduct, the warning shot from Kindiki, sort of trying to silence the impact or the scale of the demonstration?
Well, I sympathize with Professor Kindiki. He's somebody who is otherwise a very nice person. But he seems to have been overtaken by the fury of the regime that is part of. But I just want to remind him that I know in law you must do a bit of history. I should just remind him to go back to the books, read what happened in Egypt, the Minister of Interior in Egypt, the Minister of Interior in Libya, the Minister of Interior in Sudan, and many other ministers that have been responsible for that docket. Because today, the world is very active, and anything that is happening in Kenya is being monitored. At the end of the day, he is the one responsible for any mayhem visited on the people of Kenya. And he will go alone or with others to the International Criminal Court. He was there the other day defending the current president, and therefore he may go there himself as a person of interest.
It could happen sooner than later?
It could happen even before the end of the year. Yeah, because this is serious. You're actually visiting mayhem and destruction to institutions, destruction to people's lives, people who are not armed. And you could see even that retaliation or even vandalism that has taken place could actually be sponsored by the regime itself, vandalize a few structures so that you give room to the police to act the way they have acted this morning. It is unfortunate. We condemn it, and we condone with the families, those who have lost their loved ones.
Sure.
Yep.
And if you go down memory lane, during Moi's era, we had the powerful Interior CS Hezekiah Oyugi. And if you look at the fate that befell him thereafter, after President Moi exited office, it is sort of despicable and heart-wrenching. Would you then advise Interior CS of today, Kithure Kindiki, that he needs to be really careful? Otherwise, the same fate could befell him once Ruto exits office.
Well, it is, even they say, some regimes eat their own children. You've been told that even a hyena, when it wants to eat the children, they say, you smell like goats.
Accuses them of smelling like sheep.
Like goats, then he partakes them. Have you realized a hyena, even if when it is speared and it sees some intestines, he will eat to the end. So this could be a situation of the hyena government. Yeah, eating its own intestines. Yeah.
We have seen a section implore the National Assembly Speaker, Moses Wetangula, to at least change tact and at least get a Damascus moment. Reason as to why they believe that in the history of Kenya, he will go down as the most compromised Speaker of the National Assembly, all thanks to what many people believe is taking sides with the government of the day, much as he's affiliated to it politically. But they believe on issues such as the Finance Bill of 2024, it should administer its legislation with utmost justice and fairness. Do you believe that compared to Kenneth Marende and Ole Kaparo, just to point but a few, Wetangula is no match?
Well, I had the opportunity to be presided over by, I think, 3 or 4 speakers, starting with Moses Kiprono Keino, Professor Jonathan Ngeno, Ole Kaparo. I think Frederick Mati, I had not come in when Frederick Mati was the presiding speaker. And of course, I had the benefit of listening to Marende. We were together in parliament, but I had the benefit of listening to him when I was in Ethiopia. And most of the rulings that he made were landmark. There is one we are calling Solomonic ruling, which I think when he writes his memoirs, he'll be able to capture the moment of the day, because he was walking on a tightrope. On one side is the government, on one side is the regime that he supported. Now they had come together as the grand coalition government. And it was a very technical moment for him. I would have expected Speaker Moses Wetangula, somebody I have a lot of respect for in terms of his brains, but now increasingly is making himself look like the pale image of the lawyer that we know. It is something that is dangerous, given the fact that he is my age mate. I would have expected him to realize this is when to write your own legacy. Otherwise, much earlier, possibly you have time to correct. If he goes down the drain, he will never come out of it. He'll be locked in the dustbin.
He could be on that journey of self-destruction?
That is what I fear.
He's on that path already?
Yes, that's what I fear, because some of the rulings that are witnessed him make in parliament, they are totally partisan. And this one, he could have even advised the president on how to go about it. You don't have to make all those rulings at the floor of the House. Advise the president on generally what is going on nationally, so that the president makes that decision, either to push members of parliament or to do a bit of tactful retreat for purposes of making better decisions on the situation that we are in today.
And now what is the implication of this in his future political bids in the elective politics arena? Because we saw in Western Kenya people bringing down the signpost bearing his name, Senator Wetangula Road, just because of the rage they feel is not fair in handling the business of the National Assembly. Is this likely to write his political obituary when it comes to elective politics? Should this trend go on?
Well, possibly he has become a co-author of his own political obituary, and he has nobody to blame, because it is dangerous, and young people, when they make up their mind, they don't forgive you.
So on this one, he can't rope in Governor Natembeya saying he's fighting him when it comes to supremacy battles in Western Kenya?
Well, I think this time now he has exposed himself. So he's on his own. I fear for him, but I think he has also had his day in the political arena. Perhaps this is how he plans to retire from politics.
Sticking to the Western Front, we have seen Didmas Barasa, Member of Parliament for Kimilili, come forth and admit that maybe he was wrong by voting yes to the Finance Bill 2024 during the second reading, and he implored the masses, his electorate, to do with him what they so wish. Would you say that this is a move that should make those the electorate embrace Didmas Barasa, or he deliberately voted yes for the Finance Bill to appease the master?
Well, I do not know the reasons behind him voting in that particular manner, but the writings were very clear on the wall that the people of Kenya felt this bill is as punitive clauses that will not be allowed by anybody who respects his own constituents. It was very clear, whether it is farmers, whether it's businessmen, whether it's teachers, name it, or even those innovators at the formative stage of their innovation, they are all suffering from the same finance bill. So for him to have taken that decision, and if the Honorable Kamburi is advice is anything to go by, possibly he just wanted some convenient 2 million shillings for the weekend. And perhaps he got it because they said they were promised. So whoever voted for yes must have also gotten the 2 million shillings. So, and that begs another question. Where does this money come from? Is it from our coffers? Or is it personal money from those who live in State House? So I do not know.
Or maybe friends of the government. We've seen friends coming in and helping cover our travel costs.
But that's too much money. 2 million, you see, even 2 million is too much for any public officer to accept. It's supposed to be, I think, 20,000 shillings. So for them to have accepted 2 million times the number of MPs who voted for the bill, that's about it's about 400 million, or
sure.
Yeah,
thereabout.
Yeah, almost $500 million. They could have saved that money by even removing some clauses that are offensive, so that you don't have to force people to vote for that finance bill. Yep.
So for those members of parliament who are quick to pronounce themselves before they're elected that they regret the decision they made during the second reading of the Finance Bill 2024, do you consider that a populist move, that which Barasa has done and several other MPs who've gone, met hostile grounds, but now they are prodigal sons?
Well, I think it is fait accompli. Their fate has been sealed. They are former MPs like me. Yeah, it's a matter of time. You know, I usually say, Richard, every sitting MP has the potential of being a former MP. So, and every citizen has the potential of being an MP, as long as he has the basic qualifications, ID. Nowadays, even university education is not important.
Chance happens to them all.
Yeah, and it's not really, it is a blessing, a privilege to have a chance to be an MP amongst so many people in that constituency that qualify, but they may never get the favor of being MPs.
You've dropped the conversation about corruption in the previous insights we were getting from you, and part of the demands from the Gen Z revolution, or I should say call for change, is that there should be mandatory jail term for anyone involved in corruption. Mandatory. No other avenues to resolve such issues. Do you back up that initiative?
Yes.
And vision?
Yes, I do subscribe to it.
Watu ende Shimolatewa?
Yeah, or any other prison for that matter. Because the thief is a thief. You cannot give them another name. Whether I've stolen eggs around the corner or I've stolen billions of shillings, a thief is a thief. Of course, I would say mandatory jail term and reparation to society, what you took away. Once it's proven that you took 1 million shillings or 1 billion shillings, you return to society.
No calls from above to offer immunity to your impunity.
That's the main problem. The moment you have selective application of the law, then you have put the country in trouble. Let the scales of justice measure blindfolded. You saw the other day the minister from the same country as I usually refer to, Burkina Faso. His legs were tied and he was stripped naked except for the underwear and caned by young men. So he was saying, pardon, pardon, that is, forgive me in French. Until he cried in mother tongue. That's when they left him. He cried the normal cry. in mother tongue.
So if this trend goes on, people could walk into homes of the MPs back in their rural villages.
In fact,
Get the goats, the cows, or even property they believe the MP has stolen from them, CDF money, you name it.
You know, they should not even do that. They should go to the place. Now, in this intervening period, make sure there are 1,000 of them or 2,000 or 5,000. They do what was done to Dr. Muriuki. Dr. Muriuki was a candidate who wanted to run against President Mwai Kibaki in Othaya constituency. So some guys partook a lot of feasting, and at about midnight, they went to Dr. Muriuki's home and did the ceremony, you understand?
Yeah, sure.
That ceremony, I think there could have been 1,000 people.
Breaking bread and all.
Yes, and the following day when Dr. Muriuki woke up, he had actually to scout himself out of the compound, got into the car, came back to Nairobi.
Really?
Yeah, President Mwai Kibaki won with a landslide, about 34,000 votes. I can't remember the figures properly. Yeah, so in my take is, if you have 10,000 of them coming to your home after supper and visiting you with that, it will clear some of these things. The guy will spend the rest of the week cleaning the compound. And the other week, he will now be planting new grass.
Very well.
Yeah, because you see, when you are visited at that time, it is likely to turn the grass in your compound into yellow. So you might as well plant new grass for purposes of removing the stench that will have visited your compound.
So some constituencies should start planning political funerals of their current MPs in 2027.
Yeah, political funerals in the sense that, yeah, political, you are right. Yeah, many of them will not come back. If 150 came back out of 204, they would have done very well. If 50 came back, they would have done very well.
Let's advance this
It will be a
conversation.
clean slate. Like Dr. Ochanda, he may not even get the party ticket.
Oh, really? It could be that bad?
It is bad. It's as bad as that. Yeah.
Shifting gears, let's talk matters to do with trying to silence the voice that doesn't speak to what you believe in. People who hold a different view, especially among the political class. Let's start with UDA party. And the Secretary General, Klaus Malala, had this to say: the ideals of your party are supreme to your personal thoughts. If you are a UDA member, the ideologies of the UDA party should come before your personal interests. If any UDA MP votes no to the finance bill today, on Tuesday, the 25th of June, they should leave the party and become independent candidates. Many people believe this message targeted Gathoni Wamshomba, who's been so radical, speaking for the masses, being a voice of the voiceless. Do you think this is something that should intimidate Wamshomba and a few others, like you name it? In Kenya Kwanza, we believe in what Wamshomba believes in.
But the president himself has killed the UDA. He was performing some rites with Musalia Mudavadi the other day about killing of UDA, killing of ANC, and coming up with a new political entity or outfit. So which UDA are we talking about? Also, I just want to teach him about political entities called parties. The voice of the party leader is not the voice of the party. The voice of the individuals around the president is not the voice of the party. If they had gone to National Delegates Conference and voted that this finance bill shall be treated in certain manner, it will have legal mandate to almost rein in any person who has now been whipped in that particular direction. But members of parliament are people's representatives first. Number two, they have gotten into those positions through a vehicle called a political party. And if a vehicle breaks down as you travel to Muranga in Thika, you look for another vehicle and travel for the balance of the distance. So they should not be threatening Wamshomba. There are many political entities in Kenya today that you can jump out of one and move into the other. After all, these parties, they do not have separate ideology from the other. They are just vessels for winning elections. After that, they are left at the parking, and towards the next election, they dust them, bring them again on the road, fuel it a bit, and allow it to run. As I've told you before, for the last 25 years, no political party has formed the government twice. Yeah.
Do you think from your end, history will be somewhat kind to Wamshomba and a few others who believe the voice of the people should be supreme? It doesn't matter my political affiliation. I have to speak for the masses.
Even Wamshomba had many political crimes. Most of those crimes have been forgiven. She is now a free Kenyan. She has qualified to be in the annals of history that when dictatorship was in town, you are one of the few who managed to say no. The way Natembea talks of Tawe. Because I could see these young men, they are saying no to poverty, no to slavery, no to dictatorship, no to taxation. No, and they say
and they don't want promises, no to promises.
Yeah, no to fake promises.
Allocations. They don't want allocations.
No, they don't want allocations. That they
but
don't
it's allocations that will guide now the actions to be taken, the vision. You have to allocate first.
You allocate, but it must be genuine allocation. Not allocation to metenga, to mepanga. It has to be genuine allocations. Yeah.
Utaki kupangwa wewe?
Nani msipangwingwi?
Very lastly, yeah. I mean, Uasin Gishu County is by and large part of your backyard, much as you come from Trans Nzoia County. And last week, we saw the symbolic UDA wheelbarrow, Hustlers wheelbarrow in Eldoret town being brought down by Gen Zs who demand that it's an outfit they no longer believe in. The wheelbarrow cannot bring the transformation they saw desired from it.
Yeah.
We are seeing that happening across the nation, in Bomet, in Ruto's political backyards, in Baringo. It is happening all over the place. What message was this to President William Ruto? That even his people no longer believe in him, or what?
You know, they used to say, and I don't know whether there is a word like that in English, that, no, it is in my language, that when the so-called naive gain knowledge, the intelligent will run away. William has been very intelligent. He was able to decimate some of us from political scene, but now his lie has caught up with him. He cannot lie to himself anymore. Uasin Gishu even today, the level of demonstration was perhaps higher than Nairobi.
And Jonathan B had warned you.
Jonathan B, who happens
that he won't allow protests in Eldoret town. That's a shame in the backyard of the president. But people still pour to the streets, mammoth crowds.
He should be worried.
Has this left an egg on the face of the governor, Jonathan B?
I think so, because he's my nephew and I like advising.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's my nephew from my mother's side. His father is my cousin.
But why couldn't you advise him beforehand, before all this happened?
You know, you see when people move into a new political outfit, they think they know, even what they don't know. So what I would want to advise Jonathan B, and Jonathan, I know you. Please be careful. The people you are with will not stay with you up to 2027. You remember what happened in the last election? Your ticket was about to disappear. And I not called the president personally.
You did that?
I did.
You went all out of your way for him?
Yeah, I was still the party deputy chair. I told him, did you bring me to this party to embarrass me in front of my nephew? He said, but he should leave Mandago. And Mandago was in County Hall or wherever. B was across the street. So I called B. He told me, no, I'm not with Mandago. It was divide and rule. They didn't want Mandago to be senator. They didn't want B to be governor. But B seems to have forgotten. I still remind him that these guys you are with, next election, you are lucky. You may be in trouble more than you think. 2027
is not going to be a walkover for him?
It will not
for Jonathan B?
It will not be walkover. He may not even get the ticket. This is a true story. How can I say on camera if it's not true? Yeah, call Jonathan here. He knows that they are about to take the ticket from him. I called the president at, I think it was in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock. And also Millicent Omanga saved the situation. These are true stories. And before I write in books, let me tell you, I may not live to write the book, but these are true stories.
But
they did not want Jonathan B. They did not want Mandago. They wanted two different guys. I don't want to name their names because of business connections. But it happened. But today, Jonathan and Mandago, they are scared of talking even to me.
A section of your family could be watching this program. I know they do watch, a lot of them. And maybe they are wondering, why is our uncle, why is our grandfather sacrificing one of his own?
No, I'm not sacrificing. I'm just telling him the truth, that William does not have memory for good things. He has bad memory for good things, a good memory for bad things.
He could leave Jonathan be at his hour of need someday in the future?
He may actually conspire to destroy him.
That heartless?
Oh, yeah.
What happens to rewarding loyalty?
Well, loyalty, William, you are only loyal to the extent of your usefulness.
Well, that point by Kipchumba Arap Kirwa, former minister, takes us to the wrap of this conversation today, talking matters to do with a cocktail of issues that are defining Kenya's political landscape today, and more particularly the demands from the Generation Z revolution, which they believe it is informed by a need for better taxation regime, a need for better governance structures to be put in place, and a need for a new change, a new dawn in leadership. We're to see how this movement will unravel in the fullness of time. Whether it will be a successful one, because this far we sure know that it has been quite a success. How it will unfold in the fullness of time, it remains to be seen. But for Kipchumba Arap Kirwa, thank you so much for gracing this edition.
Yep. It's always my pleasure.
You still believe in the cause?
I still fully believe in the cause. And I'm happy I see hope in the young generation. Yeah. I know Kenya will be better than the country we are living there. Yeah.
Maybe someone is watching and is thinking, maybe people, elites like Kirwa, are the ones sponsoring these boys to go to the streets. Where they get money to buy the mask, the water?
I have no money. I have no money to deal with my basics. How can I sponsor such a huge movement? You know, movement does not have a sponsor. It is sponsored by the Spirit. So they have been sponsored by the Spirit.
Sure.
Possibly, you know, a mask may cost you about some little shillings, money,
sure.
A few shillings. But collectively, there are those who may not be in the street, but they are supporting their friends. And you see, with this M-Pesa thing, you can make me rich in 2 minutes, which I think you should do.
I will. Challenge taken. Until next time on Richard Mwenje Exclusive, enjoy the rest of your day. Keep the conversation going beyond here at Mwenje Richard on X and on TikTok, at Kiro Official on X and TikTok as well. God bless.